welcome back to Data Center News Asia. Sorry I couldn't make it down to your office today, James. I've got some stuff to take care of back out in the east.
It's okay, Rhys. We see enough of each other anyway, so virtual's fine today.
Too much, some would argue. In fact, it's going to be more this week, I suppose. Although I understand you're not coming to Johor tomorrow for the W Media Interconnect event. I'll be there with a couple of your colleagues who I think are speaking as well. But I will be seeing you in the evening for the DC Byte Networking Spectacular. Reminder to follow James up if he hasn't sent you an invite yet. It's very important.
Yeah, unfortunately, yeah, I'm not gonna start commenting on that. Yeah, personal clash stops me going from Johor tomorrow, but yeah, like you said, a couple of colleagues will be present. Vivian, as you mentioned, is presenting, so good luck to her with that. And then yeah, we've obviously got the Singapore event on Thursday, as well as part of Security Week, and lots happening in between.
Yes, fitting that our two first stories of the week would both be in Malaysia, since that's where all this activity is happening this week between Malaysia and Singapore. So Ali Cloud has launched their third data center in Malaysia, which, as we know, is code for taking up capacity in a Malaysia center. Um, there have been rumors floating around about quite large amounts that they've been acquiring in both Johor and KL. Any word on the story as to which region this one is?
No, it's difficult enough to decipher because, to your point, like they are looking for capacity across a number of different geographies across the kind of Southeast Asia. So when you say launch, it depends what exactly launch means. In this case, because we do know the hyperscalers all use slightly different terms. Um, so yeah, could be JB or KL, as far as I know. But yeah, interesting. Like they're continuing to expand. They also mentioned as part of the same release that they're also going to be opening a second one in the Philippines in a couple of months' time. I think they mentioned October, as well. So taking more capacity there.
Yeah, I mean, reading into that, I would speculate that means that someone has landed a deal with them in the Philippines with an RFS date of October. So good news for somebody. Hopefully, that's been a difficult market to get hyperscale capacity in, even though there's all the various metrics of domestic use and the excitement around the Philippines. It's just not had the big regional deployments that we've seen in Malaysia and Thailand so far.
Yeah, not yet, but like I think long term, I think you have to be bullish on the full Philippines. But yeah, for whatever reason, particularly in the last, I suppose, 3 years, Malaysia, and then looks like Thailand has kind of jumped ahead of it in the order of importance. But yeah, to your point, the fundamentals, internet usage, penetration, etc. I think it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah. Now, one thing that could turn the tide against Malay, I mean, to say turn the tide, we're talking a country that had almost no capacity 4 years ago and is now looking at being I don't know what Malaysia total pipeline is these days, like a 5 gigawatt domestic market. But Malaysia is imposing power tariffs on data centers. I assume that this will be across the board on grid power. I actually didn't read the full. I probably should have read more into this one. It's an area of interest for me, but I was caught a bit off guard. But yeah, so they've said here that Malaysia is imposing tariffs on data centers using power in the country, not dissimilar to different measures that we've seen across the Netherlands and Ireland and some states in the US, or different strokes. But this could increase the energy costs in Malaysia by 10 to 14% for data centers, which is not insignificant when you think of how much of the OPEX comes out of the power bills every month and every year.
Yeah, an interesting one. So they announced this in tail end of last year, one of November, December time. Yeah, so to your point, some people have calculated this at between 10 and 14%, which isn't insignificant. This is obviously like these deals, particularly in Johor, of the kind of scale where they'll nearly all be pass through deals, or probably are exclusively pass through deals for the hyperscalers. So yeah, some of the big leasers of capacity are going to get hit by this in particular. Um, Interesting as well, the ultra high voltage requirements, which are those, I think, classified as over 100 megawatts in this instance. They're going to be paying even more as well. So there's a number, 15 to 20 million dollars of additional spending. I don't know where they got that number from, because obviously it depends on the size of the facility and PUE, etc. But $15 million on top. Um, Interesting. There's some interesting quotes from the head of Malaysia from Equinix. She's basically saying, and I'm quoting her here: if you're a large data center, then you pay for a bigger share of the infrastructure or distribution network costs. And then they mention, this isn't a quote, but mentioned, to mitigate the impacts of the tariffs, Equinix said that it's considering alternative energy sources to mitigate the impact of the tariffs. So it doesn't specifically say it, but I wonder if that's where Crest could potentially come in. So if you're able to secure additionality via green energy, then yeah, maybe, like I said, you can kind of minimize the costs by getting green energy connected to your site via the Crest program. Like I said, it doesn't specifically say it, but that's kind of what I'm reading here.
Quite potentially interesting. Yes, the head of Equinix Malaysia is choosing to comment on this, as Equinix, of course, are a beneficiary of the smaller end of the data center market in terms of scale. Up in Malaysia, they're probably probably not afraid to speak on it as much as some others, but there are certainly some of the RFPs that have been floating around with minimum sizes in excess of that ultra high voltage. That would be, I wonder if that would be enough to dissuade any of that. We've also seen, lots of these power certificates given out in Malaysia and particularly in Johor over the last couple of years. And I suppose they are having to then calculate how much of the grid that's going to use. There's a comment here from Bain saying that it's going to be 21% of the power grid that's being used by data centers in Malaysia, which is that's crazy. It's a calculation they're making based on some probably optimistic and fully developed numbers, but still, that's a large amount.
Yeah, yeah, no, interesting to keep an eye on that. Yeah.
Uh, Not that this is related in any way to large amounts of power used in Malaysia, but ByteDance have also purchased 100,000 tons of carbon credits from Rubicon Carbon. This was, carbon credits, I suppose, get derided a lot by some of the more activist green investors and folks on the US side. I think where this is important to note is that, Chinese hyperscalers, ByteDance included, aren't necessarily signatories to things like RE100. It's often been said that they may be chasing different specific build requirements over just sort of access to green power. So I still say this is a pretty positive sign and an indicator that they are not far behind some of the other hyperscalers in terms of their green commitment.
Yeah, it's interesting. So yeah, say what you will about carbon credits. But ByteDance, again, quote here, reading the article. So they still, it seems, have a 2030 carbon neutrality goal in place, which I think a lot of other similar firms, operators, etc., have quietly rolled back on these and just saying it's not realistic anymore given the requirements, especially from AI. So it looks like ByteDance still have this in place. Um, Interestingly as well, like ByteDance, I've got some pretty interesting projects. So I think we talked about it previously, but the campus they have in Norway with Green Mountain, 100% renewable energy, according to the article, and I do remember reporting on that at the time. They've got sites in Dublin, which Ireland you can get renewable energy. I'm not sure specifically if they have on this site, but um, they might do. So yeah, interesting. Like, I think carbon credits are probably better than nothing. I think even the most stringent opposer of carbon credits would agree with that. Um, so yeah, interesting.
Yeah, we're still grading on a curve here, but I'll refrain further comments rather than rather than saying anyone. There was another news here from Australia. So the DoD, the Australian Department of Defence, has signed a 5-year cloud deal with Microsoft. This is to put I guess, parts of the DoD defence infrastructure onto Azure, or at least a government air-gapped version of Azure. This is despite the big projects they have ongoing with AWS in the country as well.
Yeah, so continuing Continue with the multi-cloud strategy. What's interesting with this is, and I'm using the USD numbers, not the Aussie dollar numbers here, but this contract, which is starting imminently, $325 million. This is 3.5 times larger than the previous cloud agreement the DoD had. Um, yeah, and just another, I suppose, catalyst for additional compute in Australia. And the Aussie government in general has had a very forward looking approach to deploying on the cloud, and we've seen many deals reported on many deals over the last couple of years. So yeah, just the latest of these.
It's a thing to consider when we read news stories on the non-data center news about things like the renegotiation of AUKUS and some of these other defense agreements, that it's not just the purchase of submarines and missiles, but it's also cloud infrastructure and security capacity that makes some of these things go around and tick. Where's the Are you doing the financing news stories? So I saw Allianz and Keppel have joined a $400 million loan for PDG, Princeton Digital Group. So they are looking to do some more capex spending on the projects that they have, presumably the ones around Southeast Asia, and also to do some refinancing.
Yeah, so this is essentially I think we've kind of already reported on this story a while ago as part of the $1 billion race. This is just basically, yeah, Allianz and Keppel joining a couple of a consortium, I suppose you'd call it, Ontario Municipal Employees Retirement, SMBC, Standard Chartered, Barclays, BNP Paribas, and Deutsche Bank. So yeah, to your point, additional capital expenditure and refinancing some of the previous debt.
Fantastic. Any stories I've missed there, James?
I don't believe so.
Excellent. Well, in that case, if you have stayed tuned this long, do stay tuned for the rest of our busy content calendar. I think James just posted up the interview with Ben Boudreau from AGP. We've also got our interview with the ladies from Women in Data Centers and Zach Ennis from Stone Peak, all from the Bali trip. There's a golf highlights video coming up tomorrow. Pro tip, if you skip to, I think, 2 minutes 30, you'll see Ben Boudreau absolutely spoon a drive into the trees. And yeah, we'll have some more content coming up, a couple of new series we're working on as well. So do stay tuned for that. Remember to follow us on YouTube and Spotify.
Great. Thanks, Rhys. Thanks everyone for watching.
Cheers.